I don't know why I keep on doing this. I always get so excited and keep on forgetting to unmute my mic. But welcome again to another episode of My Thoughts Live, where I, your host, Joel Petgrave, have the crazy idea of sharing my crazy thoughts with the internet. Every day of the week, we share a different subtopic, and today is Money Matters Monday, where we talk about entrepreneurship, and business, the economy, and just money, personal finance, all that jazz. So if that sounds interesting to you, feel free to subscribe and come along with the journey. Now, for those of you who are coming back, and you may have, let me back up. For those of you who are new, like I said, it's my thoughts live. I just don't talk about entrepreneurship, but each day of the week we do a different topic. So on Sunday, or subtop or category of topics rather. So on Sunday it's social issue Sunday, right? Monday is Money Matters Monday. Tuesday is Tabernacle Tuesday, where we talk about church and religion. Wednesday is Wild Card Wednesday, where we talk about like whatever. Thursday is This or That Thursday, where we talk about like two competing ideologies. Friday is Family Matters Friday. So last week was my first week, and originally my idea was to do it from Sunday to Thursday, but I'm starting just after 1 week. I think I kind of could tell that that's kind of over ambitious. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna still keep our themes and we're gonna still keep our days. But you're wondering, wait, how's it gonna work out if you're not gonna stream Sunday to Thursday? It doesn't make sense. And I thought of the brilliant idea, at least brilliant in my head. Let me know what you think, or if this is too confusing. Is that um, we're kind of stagger the days. So I'll be reviewing each day, but every other week. Let me explain. So today is Monday, and so there will not be another Money Market Monday next Monday, but the following Monday. And so Tuesday, I won't be speaking on Tabernacle Tuesday tomorrow, but I was speaking the following Tuesday. So think about it like this way. So week one, let's pretend this is week one. Week one is I will do Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday topics. And then the following week, I'll do Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday topics. And then they would just alternate like that. I'll leave kind of like, and again, I do plan to actually put a schedule because I do have a lot of topics planned out. Um, so if you're interested, please subscribe so you get notifications on YouTube for that. So that being said, today, I decided to get a little bit experimental, so to speak. Um, by the way, do you like my intro? I mean, I know it's kind of cringe and not the most professional work, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I created it, but I just love that intro. I might polish it up a little bit. But yeah, let me know what you think about the intros in the comments below. So, like I was saying, I think yeah, this today I'm going to it's going to be more relaxed show. There is usually I have, I mean, I usually don't read from a script. I usually have some notes just to keep me, somewhat focused, or make some to, keep it somewhat structured. But today, what, I decided, let me just wing it. Like, let me just wing it. Like one part of this podcast is to have fun, right? And I think last week, because I was just one, it was my first weekend too, and I was trying to do a video every day. I don't think I had as much fun with it. So today we're gonna have a little bit more fun, and hopefully you will have some more fun too. So, what is the topic for today? Right? So, the topic for today is why you may not want to consider entrepreneurship. Right? Entrepreneurship has been like it's like everywhere nowadays. It's funny. It's funny because a lot of people might be surprised at some of the takes that I'm about to make in this video. Because I've always wanted to do something in business. I went to school for finance, and but entrepreneurship was always something that was near and dear to my heart. That being said, you know, I've noticed something that has, have I guess concern um is good enough. I mean, I feel like it's a little bit too strong, but just has me thinking, right? So in the past couple of years, I'm trying to pinpoint an exact year. Was it like 20? No, it was like 20, like late 2010s, maybe. I think it could like started to like take off, right? Like entrepreneurship has just been everywhere, right? There's been so much, young people, making money, so much people becoming throwing out courses there. We talked a little bit of that last week. Um, everyone, anyone could become an influencer nowadays. And so, you know, it's easier than ever, to become an entrepreneur. And I think that's a good thing. I'm actually happy for that. I think, as someone like I said who loves entrepreneurship, I think it's a really good thing for, that it to be more accessible to more people. More people are thinking about entrepreneurship. Cuz like when I was growing up, it was more so like get a job or go to college, get a job. And I have nothing against that, but I just knew that I always wanted to own my own business. Like you remember when like in school they said like in a multiple choice question, they would always ask you, "Hey, they would always suggest that if you're taking a test and you're not sure of the answer, like you're like in between like two answers, they always tell you to go with the first answer is usually the correct one or the one that you thought about first. And so I kind of like took that principle with like what I wanted to be, right? Um and what I wanted to be, the first thing, the very, very, very first thing, my first answer to the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? Is I wanted to be an inventor, right? Um, I didn't want to, I like to like I was one of my favorite times was Black History Month. Um uh not so much. I mean, I appreciated the Black history, but the part of Black History Month that really stood out to me was the inventions. Like when they would, at least when I was growing up, they would always emphasize like the famous Black inventors and people invented so many different things. And another one of my favorite shows growing up was Jimmy Neutron, how he will create all these gadgets and gizmos, and I just wanted to be in a position where I could like come up with crazy ideas and in my head and just materialize them in the real world. I thought that was like the most amazing thing. And it's kind of funny because that's kind of like what everybody wants to be nowadays. Like when I was growing up, like I was the only one that like wanted nowadays. And that's kind of like what everybody wants to be too, except I think they call it something different. I think the word we use is not inventor, but is everybody wants to be a creator. I guess that's a more modern way of putting it, but to me it's essentially the same thing, the idea of having your art or your imagination or some concept and to bring it to life. So I find it kind of funny how like um when I was little, like no one wanted to like kind of be that, but it's funny how time changes, and with all this technology, there's this explosion in the marketplace of everybody. And like I said, I think it's a good thing. I think it's good that people are considering other options outside of college, outside of a regular 9 to 5, outside of just the norms that everyone told us that we had to do to make it in life or to be successful, right? However, right? Because the title is why you may not want to be an entrepreneur, right? That's the title. So while that is all good, there's I think while in general the movement is good, I think there has been, for a lack of a better word, some kind of bandwagonism, like a lot of people just like jumping on the entrepreneurial hype train, so to speak, and they're not they're not really considering, all their options. You know, uh, there's a text in the Bible that says, I forgot the verse, but it's in the New Testament. It's one of the Gospels where Jesus was saying, "No one goes and builds a building without counting the costs," right? And so I think there's a lot of people that are like jumping into entrepreneurship that aren't really like taking considering everything, the cost entrepreneurship is going to cost them, because there is a cost. And more importantly, one thing that has kind of like concerned, I would say almost annoyed me, is how some people are using this to kind of like demonize almost, or to scrutinize, criticize other forms of other forms of like just making a living. Like it started off kind of subtle, but now it's almost to the point where it's getting kind of almost blatant now, where it's become cool to kind of belittle someone who has a 9 to 5 job. And like, I'm all about widening the pie, not necessarily like, oh, not necessarily giving people like, oh, that's old school, this is new school. We could still do stuff that are kind of like old school if it still works for that individual. But I just don't like the general trend of people like bashing someone, or not it's not always bashing, sometimes it's more subtle. They would like kind of insinuate that you're kind of less than, or you're not as ambitious, or you're not as smart about using your life just because you have a 9 to 5 job. And I just actually want to like pull up some comparisons, because I think a lot of people misrepresent what entrepreneurship is about, and they misrepresent what like working a regular. I'm gonna use the word W-2 worker, because not everybody works 9 to 5. What a W-2 worker is about, and in my honest opinion, if money is all you're after, it's easier to make it. Like, I think at certain levels, it's easier to make a lot of money working a job than it is being an entrepreneur. I think it's way easier to make 6 figures working a job than it is as an entrepreneur. I don't think people understand how hard it is to make 6 figures as an entrepreneur. And if you want to go above that, it gets even harder, as an entrepreneur. And like I said, I love entrepreneurship. I'm happy that most people are entrepreneur, but don't be so deluded. Don't be so jumping on the hype train that you ignore other legitimate options, or because there's we still need people to work. Everyone can't be an entrepreneur. So Oh, I have one person watching. I don't know if you want to say hi in the chat. One person. Um, but yeah, I just really think that, there's pros and cons to both, and you shouldn't one is not necessarily superior to the other. I think it's just like, as my dad would always say, different strokes for different folks, right? And so I just want to go over the pros and cons of each, of so you can make a proper decision to see if entrepreneurship is something that is right for you. So the first thing, um like the first difference I want to talk about, and this is a big one, is the what I call reward for your efforts, right? So what a lot of people don't understand, yes, you can make a lot of money. In fact, before this video, I was going through a couple of articles, and a lot of them were saying that as an entrepreneur, you make significantly more. Um, than there. A lot of these articles were just like kind of like on that hype train, where like you can make more as an entrepreneur than working your job. But what a lot of people don't understand is that with working a job, you get a guaranteed reward for your work, right? Where in entrepreneurship, that reward is unguaranteed. What do I mean by that? So like, if you're working a W-2 job, right, where you're an employee, and you work, but you make some mistakes, and especially if you're an hourly employee or a salaried employee. If you're making some mistakes and you mess up, you still get paid the same amount. You still, like, if you show up, as long as you're not doing something that will get you fired or that will get you demoted or whatever, like, you're gonna get paid. Like you put in effort, whether your effort goes up and down, you still get paid, right? And that could be a good thing and a bad thing, right? I heard a lot of people with entrepreneurship. I heard one person use that as a con for working a 9 to 5 job, because he was arguing that if I work better than everybody else, I still get the same money, which is correct, right? Like unless you get a raise, and that may take time, and that's not guaranteed either. But like if you're the highest paying worker for like an hourly or salary job, you still get paid the same amount. But the opposite is always also true. If you're the worst worker, or closer to the bottom, or just average, you still get paid the same amount. And that's a pro and a con, but I think it's an overall pro over entrepreneurship, because what a lot of people don't reason understand with entrepreneurship is that if you can work weeks, days, right? Even years, even, and get no reward for your efforts. This is something that a lot of people don't realize, that entrepreneurship, like, it's you're kind of out on your own, right? Right? With a job, there's so many safety nets that you have, and we're going to touch on more of them a little later. But there's so many safety nets you have with entrepreneurship. You could work hours, you could put in so much time, so much effort, so much sweat, and get nothing, right? In fact, it gets worse than that. You could put time, effort, and you could be in the hole. It could go negative as an entrepreneur. That won't happen if you're just working a regular 9 to 5, right? Like, there's no way for you to look. The worst that could happen is you get fired, and you go to zero. But as an entrepreneur, you can actually get yourself into the negative, right? So that's one thing I think, like, a lot of people need to consider and think about, is that as an entrepreneur, there's no guaranteed reward for your effort. Whereas an employee, as long as it's like salary, the only exception to this, if you're on a commission basis. And most commission jobs usually have like a base salary or something like that. Um, but like if you're a salaried or an hourly worker, um, you have guaranteed hour. You're getting paid. And you even have sick days. That's another thing. As an entrepreneur, you don't have sick days, you don't have holidays. I remember someone was asking me, like, "Oh, what you doing this summer?" I was like, "Oh, what do you mean? I'm working." Like, I don't have vacation. I mean, I could take a vacation, but at my current phase, at where I'm at with my business, if I take a vacation, I don't get money, right? So it's these other things that you have to consider. Another thing you have to consider is that um another thing you have to consider is, like I said, there's so many other safety nets that a job provides, that being an entrepreneur you don't get right off the bat. One of those things is, like I mentioned earlier, sick leaves, vacations, healthcare is a big one. Like, I didn't realize how expensive healthcare was, how much healthcare was being subsidized by your employer. That is something that, you have to really consider as an entrepreneur. Like, especially if you visit the doctor frequently. Do you have enough money to pay for your own health insurance? And not just health insurance. Depending on what industry you're in, you might need insurances for other things. Insurance, like if you're in the delivery business, you need like insurance for your vehicles and your cargo that you're carrying. Um, right? So another benefit of a job of entrepreneurship is, it has so many other safety nets. Another thing, you might want to consider if you're deciding, if I'm tired of this 9 to 5, I want to be in entrepreneurship, is I think a lot of people falsely misrepresent like the whole like time thing, right? A lot of people paint like a 9 to 5 as, a dead end trap, like you're stuck in the rat race or and stuff like that. And it could definitely be that for a lot of people. And it is that for a lot of people. But it could also be that for like you as an entrepreneur. What a lot of people don't understand is that, especially when you're just starting and it's a small scale business, like a lot of times you end up working more hours as an entrepreneur than you did at your 9 to 5, right? And I know there's a lot of these oh, get rich quick like promotions, and like, oh, you don't have to do this any all this work and 4 hour work week. But I don't think that's realistic. And I don't think most people are making that much money with that. Like if you're gonna be any sort of serious entrepreneur that has a serious business, especially in the beginning, you're probably working more hours as an entrepreneur than you did when you had your 9 to 5, right? And on top of that, like I said, you don't get any vacation and sick times on top of that. And also you have to remember that, like, in the beginning, in the holy crap, what's that? Sorry, I thought I just saw a fly buzz away. Dang, what was I saying? Man, I lost my train of thought. Let me see. Okay, let me. I'll see if I'll come back to like if I can remember what I was saying. But another thing you have to think about with entrepreneurship and versus working an actual 9 to 5. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember what I was going to say now about the timing. Is that there's jobs out there because people make it seem like there's like, oh, everyone hates their job. I know there's a large portion of the country that do, but like there's fulfilling jobs out there. Like I remember in my accounting class, um, when I was in high school, that there was this lady that did financial consulting, and she was talking about how much she loved her job. She said she started off in just regular accounting, and then she like transitioned to consulting. And she's talking about like how she gets to travel, how her company puts her up in 7 stars hotels, and she gets to speak with so many different businesses. Blah blah blah. That's you can get a good work life balance in a 9 to 5. A lot of people make it seem like, oh, if you work a W-2 job, or if you're an employee, that you're a slave to capitalism and that you get no freedom. Like there's jobs that give you good work life balances. Um, there's jobs where you don't have to work. You work 3 days a week or 4 days a week, right? Not all jobs are, and not and again, not all. And there's jobs that give you like allow you to travel. There's jobs out there. I think people when they talk about like working as a W-2 employee, they predominantly think, oh, 9 to 5 employee, 40 hours a week. There's so many different job arrangements out there. And I think we have a very small concept of what like being a worker is. There's so many different jobs out there. There's people like in the film industry that, is so different than working in an office, or who work. I remember I was watching this video of these people who work like they're sound engineers, and they're the ones that do all the sound effects for like movies. There's all sorts of like cool jobs, like fun cool jobs out there. Not every job is boring. Not every job is in an office. Not every job is in a 9 to 5. You could find a fun, fulfilling job that has a good work life balance, that has good benefits, that pays well, that has good upward mobility. They're definitely out there, but I just don't like how a lot of people kind of like put like W-2 employees in this box that, oh, if you're in a W employee, it's you're miserable, you're underpaid, da 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 da. Because the same could be said about entrepreneurship, right? There's so much different flexibilities you could do in entrepreneurship, and you can't put that same kind of box on people who work regular jobs. Let me see. Did I have anything else that I wanted to say or talk about? Um, I'm pretty sure there was. See, this is what happens when you try to freestyle and you don't take any notes. Um, Now, let me say this. Let me say this. Because in the beginning, I said that if money's all that you're after, I think you should definitely consider just a regular job, and upward mobility. Yes, you don't get a guarantee. You're not guaranteed to get a raises, and yet, yes, wages for people working employment jobs have stayed stagnant. But like, there's like, if you I feel like there's it's with less effort, it's easier to get more money in the corporate America than it is as an entrepreneur. Uh, the thing with entrepreneurship is that it gives you more flexibility, and I think you have a higher ceiling. And like, it's literally sky's the limit with entrepreneurship, and also you could grow a lot faster with entrepreneurship. But like, one of the easiest ways to change how much money you make, like in a job, like if you want to just make more money, one of the easiest things to do is find another job. And I think this has been like such a taboo thing for so many years, that they say like, oh, you have to stay at a job or you don't look like you're loyal. But no, just apply for a new job. Like if you're unhappy with like the amount you're paying first, I would say bring it up with your supervisor, and don't just go up to them and be like, oh, can I get a raise or da 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 da. The way you kind of have to spin it is like, I feel like I'm doing really well at this job. I'm trying to see, is there any way I could be of more value to the company, or serve you guys in a higher capacity. If you spin it like that, it comes off as, yes, you want something, but also you want to give it more, so it's kind of like give and take. And then, you can work your way up. Or like I said, just look for other jobs, you know and if that doesn't work, then you go look for other jobs with other communities. So there's definitely like, you can get upward mobility with a 9 to 5 job for sure. And I would also want to add that, um now, it's gonna sound like I'm like, are you sure you want to be an entrepreneur? Yes, I'm sure I want to be entrepreneur. And I think a lot of people misunderstand the benefits of entrepreneur. I think most people like, or traditionally, I feel like when people talked about entrepreneurship, it was almost never about the money. Like for me, one of the reasons why I always like entrepreneurship, and why I was never ever truly satisfied in a regular job, was like creative freedom, right? With and that was my main reason of like going out on my own. It doesn't give me the creative freedom to kind of innovate, take necessary risk, um, that I want to take. And actually, that's actually, I think, the main benefit of entrepreneurship is your ability to take risks, because in corporate America, they don't want you to take risks. They want you to follow a system. They want you to do what they've always been doing, and there's actually a benefit to that, because it makes them money consistently, and they don't like unpredictability. Um, but the downside of that is that the reason why you can make so much more money as an entrepreneur, not because that it's not necessarily because, um the system of working for someone else just makes you less more money. What the real money that comes from entrepreneurship is your ability to take a risk, right? Corporations don't want you to take risks, so they limit the amount of risk you can take. Now, that risk comes as a benefit in certain areas, but it comes as a limit in the amount of money, like your paycheck, right? So that risk gives you guaranteed salary, it gives you guaranteed pay, but it limits the max amount of pay that you can get and how fast you can get it. Or in entrepreneurship, you you can get, you could pretty much make money as fast as you can possibly imagine as an entrepreneur, and you can make as much money as you possibly can imagine as an entrepreneur. But all that money that you're generating is coming from your ability to take risk. Emphasis on the word risk. It's a risk. So it's kind of like give and take. And I think, like I said, I don't think entrepreneurship is for everybody. And I just as I don't think 9 to 5 is for everybody. I think you need to weigh weigh them simultaneously. That I don't think one is superior over the other or one is better than the other, but they both have pros and cons. And so I would hardly like if someone had asked me, or like let's say one of my kids were come to me like they were older and they were gonna ask, hey, should I go to college or should I, go to college, get a job, or should I just, you know, go to become an entrepreneur? The one of the first things I would ask them or try to find out is what's their risk tolerance. If you have a low risk tolerance, I don't think you have any business being an entrepreneur. It's kind of funny. There's a lot of people like selling courses. There's a lot of people advertising for their master class. There's a lot of people advertising for this and that, guru and that, guru and this. But I find it funny how they're trying to appeal to you to become an entrepreneur, and in their whole spiel and their whole sales pitch, everything they're talking about is reducing risk, reducing risk, reducing risk. Oh, this is safe, this is guaranteed, this is proven, my proven method. I'm like, bruh, if you're that afraid of risk, go get a job. And I'm not saying that in a derogatory way, but if you're that afraid of, like, if you want that many guarantees, like money back guarantee, this guarantee, like it's proven, like if you're that afraid of risk, like I don't think entrepreneurship is for you. So like that's why I find a lot of these ads kind of like funny, because like is this person really an entrepreneur, or is he like, it's like this pseudo, what I call a pseudopreneur, right? It's like they want to be an entrepreneur, but they don't want all the risk. They don't want all the uncertainty. And but that's what entrepreneur, like, literally the word entrepreneur means risk taker. I believe in French. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure it's French, but like, it means risk taker. That's what entrepreneurship is like at its heart. And I think there's a lot of people that want all. It's like they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have all the benefits of being an entrepreneur, but they don't want to take on all the risks. And I'm like, I mean, just get a job. Like, you can make good money working a job. You could have good work-life balance working a job. Like a lot of people promote this, like, oh, this beach lifestyle, I want to travel. There's jobs that pay you to travel. You know that, right? They literally pay you to travel. Right? There's jobs like if you want to be a millionaire, just become a doctor. Like, I feel like that's like, yes, med school is hard. It's a lot of studying, but like I feel like that's a more guaranteed way to become a millionaire than become like I don't think you understand how few entrepreneurs become how few entrepreneurs become actual millionaires, right? It's a very small number. It's a very beautiful world, which brings me to the next point, and this might be the last point, or I might have a couple points. I'll see if my brain thinks of anything else. But I remember one time when, because like for those of you who don't know, I do web design. My company is paragondigital.com, where we do web design and digital marketing, right? And so I remember at one point when I was, trying to find clients, I was looking at Upwork, to try to get some clients. And I was new, and I was trying to see, I was looking at YouTube videos to opt how to optimize my Upwork account, right? How to optimize my profile on Upwork so I could get more clients. So I was watching YouTube videos, trying to, optimize my account, and I came across this YouTube video that like showed like one of the like a stat that kind of like changed my perspective. I mean, it's something I always knew, but sometimes when you put stuff in numbers, it like solidifies it for you. So the stat that we were sharing was, they were sharing how many how many jobs are available, like how many people are submitting, oh, I need work for this XYZ. How many jobs are available on Upwork versus how many people wanting jobs. So like pretty much supply and demand. How many jobs are there to be fulfilled and how many Upwork workers wanting to get jobs? And I don't remember the exact numbers, but the ratio was crazy. It was like these are just pretend numbers, but let's say there's 1,000 people who need a specific service on Upwork. For those 1,000 people, there's 10,000 people trying to get jobs on Upwork. And even though that's an example of Upwork, that I believe is true across the board in any industry, right? Like pick an industry you want to be, whether you want to be a musician, whether you want to be like a influencer, whether you want to be like have a clothing brand, whether you want to be like lawn care, whether you want to go in printing, name a business, name any business. There's more people trying to service that business or trying to be in that industry than there are people. So what end up happening um in entrepreneurship, and I hope that makes sense. So like there's always in most industries there's always more supply. There's always more, like for example, if you want to sell sneakers, like there's only so many people to buy sneakers, but there's 100 different options out there, whether it be other entrepreneurs, other companies, other alternatives that compete with your product. And so it's I don't think people understand how competitive entrepreneurship is. And so usually what ends up happening is that the top like 5, 10, 10, 5, 1% of of all the entrepreneurs usually get all the clients while everyone has to like scramble around for scraps, right? And again, I'm not here to scare anybody. I'm not here to like, make anyone and quit, but like we said in the beginning, you have to count the cost, you know? Not It's not all glitter and roses. It's not all it's extremely hard. That's why most people aren't entrepreneurs. It's an extremely hard endeavor. Um and most things that of high value are usually are. So I think the main reason I'm sharing all this is that while I love entrepreneurship and I'm glad there's a lot of people considering entrepreneurship and it's more mainstream nowadays and more easier than ever, I don't want people to get the wrong ideas about it. Because I my philosophy is if you truly love something, you have to love it for the good and the bad. Like you have to see, like if you truly, truly love something, you see the good in it and you see the bad in it. If all you see is good, then you're infatuated. If all you see for something that it's all good and there's no cons to it, you're infatuated. It's like, when you see somebody and you find zero faults into them and like, you're infatuated. And I just don't want people to be infatuated with entrepreneurship. I want them to be in love with it. So they see the pros and the cons. So, that's all I had for today. Thank you those who were stop by to watch live. If you have any questions in the comment, what do you think? Do you think entrepreneurship is just overall better? What do you think about working a 9 to 5 job? Do you think what are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me if you're pursuing entrepreneurship, if or are you working a job? Are you happy at your job? You know, just share with those so we could help each other learn and stuff like that. So, thank you all for coming to another episode of Money Matters Monday. I'll catch you guys